First, good evening, everybody. And so the meeting of the Board of Trustees of the Urbana Free Library on April 13th, 2021 will come to order. And so pursuant to state executive orders, which temporarily suspend the in-person presence requirements and eliminate the limitation on remote access of the Illinois Open Meetings Act due to the COVID-19 pandemic, the board is suspending the usual electronic attendance and voting section of the board bylaws and will allow all board members to attend this meeting remotely and fully participate remotely. So Becky, would you please do the attendance roll call?
Ma'am. Okay. Beth Scheid.
Here.
Gloria Yen.
Here.
Lupe Mejia.
Here.
Michael Weissman.
Here.
Sharice Hersey.
Here.
And Jane Williams.
Okay. So are there any additions, corrections, modifications of the agenda? Okay, hearing none, do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
Move to approve.
Second?
Second.
Okay, Becky, roll call?
You write down the moves and approves, and then we are on our way. Okay, Beth,
Did approve.
excuse me?
Did Sharice move to approve?
Yes.
Okay.
Beth Scheid.
Yes.
Gloria Yen.
Yeah.
Lupe Mejia.
Yes.
Michael Weissman.
Yes.
Sharice Hersey.
Yes.
And Jane Williams.
Yes.
Okay, so that motion carries. I don't see any public comment, I don't think. So we can move right to the presentations. And we received some nice budget materials, and I do like the way it was all laid out. I thought it was really nicely done. So Celeste, would you like to take us through it?
Great, I'm going to share my screen. And press the right button first. Zoom. There we go. Hopefully this goes through. Everyone see that?
You can see that.
Yeah.
There we go. So the reason that we work on the budgets is so we can serve our community well and beautifully the way that we do. And this is just a reminder of why we do the work that we do. It's about the people that are here for us and that we're here for them too. And this 1,000 Books Before Kindergarten program is funded by the Friends of the Urbana Free Library. And the money to purchase these books would come out of our 810 gift budget, because those are gifts that come to us from the Friends. So as we look at the overall budget, you do have this information in your board packets, but I want to make sure we highlight a couple of different parts of it. So we've got three main different funds that we work out of primarily. There's the 802s, which are our general fund, the 810s, which are our gift funds, and then the 820s are the building funds. And primarily that is the rental revenue or expenses regarding the Weber building across the street from us. So when you see the negatives on these, that's the revenue. So negatives in this case is a good thing. And then positives are where you're spending into fund balance one way or the other. So you can see that in the 802s, we are purposefully spending into the fund balance for a couple of different reasons that we talk about. We budget for the RHS savings, health savings account, and we budget as if, let's say 2 or 3 people a year will retire so that we can take this money out of our fund balance. We don't expect 2 or 3 people to retire, but we do know at least one person will be retiring. So we do like to be a little bit generous and make sure that we've got that all covered. We also talked about in the document that given the way things were budgeted for microfilm between the archives and the company ProQuest that does the microfilming, with the changeover at the News Gazette, ProQuest has not been able to microfilm the paper. So we are physically unable to purchase the microfilm. Right now, we've got about $10,000 in funds we literally can't spend on that. And we anticipate the possibility of maybe microfilming ourselves or doing something else with that money. And we'd like to take that money out of the fund balance so that we can continue to provide the microfilm or something like it to our community because they use it all the time. Looking at the 810s, there are a number of projects that we would like to fund out of the gift money that we received. including potentially some renovations upstairs in the circulation area. Once we have the CDs from behind the checkout desk so people can self-select, we can take down all the shelving that is there. We've right now got the collection in two places. We've got the books in books of CD information, or the flip bins on the floor, and then the actual CDs themselves. So the collection is taking up two spaces. We'd like to get it down to one space and then use what's left over to serve our community a different way, whether it's a reading room or a maker space or who knows what. And we'd like to do that evaluation of how to use the space and then make changes using some of the gift funds we've recently received. And we want to do that after we work through the building program process with Fred Schliff, because we'll have had time to get input from our community and staff, the board, and our other two boards about how the library can use this space in good ways. So we are hoping to be able to do some movement on that in the next year. The 820s, we expect slightly less of a profit than we had expected this year. We're budgeting for half a year of all 4 spaces being rented and half a year of only 3 of the spaces being rented. And so that's what the total might look like, with going into fund balance again for these particular purposes, using gifts that were given us to be used. If we look at the overall revenue, you can see that property taxes are by the vast majority the biggest. Yeah.
Can I ask, is it correct that on the previous thing, the very last entry, the bottom right, should not be in parentheses?
I think you're right. Yes, Michael, I'm
Okay.
not sure why Excel did that. I will fix that right away. Thank you.
Okay, just wanted to make sure I wasn't mixed up.
Yeah, but like, why are we drawing into fund balance and then suddenly 239,000 to the good?
But that would be great, but you know.
I like your math. Okay, I will, thank you. Okay, on to slide 2. This is just a nice visual of what we know to be true, that property taxes are the vast majority of library revenue. They're at 83% this year. That's right about where it has been in prior years as well. So we're going to talk a little bit about library fines and fees, but we do want to recognize that that is a smaller amount of revenue for the library overall. So we are happy that property taxes have not been impacted by COVID the way they might have. We also are curious to see what it looks like this year. And right now, actually in Urbana, houses are selling like hotcakes. So property values are increasing, at least as far as sales are going. And we'll see if there's any additional benefit to the library in the city next year, given the strong sales this summer, or this spring and summer. So let's talk for just a moment about library fees revenue. What we want to do is recognize upfront that the library is not in control of a lot of information about library fees. So we get fees when people turn in things late, one way, and also choose to pay their fines. Some people turn things in late and then just keep their fines right underneath the cap. And they are able to do that. But I mean, for some people will never recover that, let's say $9, because they're always just going to keep it right under $9 and maybe go a quarter over or a quarter under. In order to make the library more accessible to patrons, you did make a decision as a board. You raised that $10 cap to $25 during COVID. So people weren't getting blocked from using resources, especially when they couldn't easily come in to pay or check things out while we were closed. So Champaign Public Library, Urbana Free Library talked together about ways to make ourselves accessible. And one way to be accessible was to raise that blocking fee from 10 to 25, which you did. And then also we raised the fee at which you would be sent to collection to $100 versus $50. So that means that for the people that don't pay until they hit that blocking point, some people are not going to even start paying until they hit that $25 mark. On the other hand, because people are using ebooks more and more, there are no fees that ever accrue on ebooks. So there's no way to be overdue. So what we're seeing is, as we've made our library more accessible to people, which is what we want to do, we want people to feel comfortable using the library, not feel like it's a financial burden or a financial risk to use the library that they're paying their taxes on. We have seen that overall library fees revenue has decreased. There's other ways that we've made ourselves more accessible, like with the copier money. So we know that over the years, we've allowed people to do things like start scanning to a flash driver, like fax for free using the new technology purchased on the second floor. Well, that means we're not getting fax revenue or copy revenue. But again, it also means that people are able to use the library in different ways, and that is what we want ultimately. So some libraries have gone fine free, and looking at revenue charts like this at different libraries, people have said, you know, at a certain point, the barriers that having fines put up there for patrons ends up not being worth the small amount of revenue that's coming in. So we are not recommending going fine free at this moment. There's still a lot of unknowns as far as what our revenue will look like for the rest of the year and what our expenses with other facilities issues that are coming up look like. But we are recommending just an awareness of the trend of library fees. And then we are recommending going to automatic renewal, which means that unless there's a hold on your item, they'll renew, which should be a nice middle step between having fines and then going fine free. And then we can see what the impact is. Other libraries we've talked to reported a 30 or 40% decrease in fines. Again, we are already seeing that with COVID, just given a number of things. We didn't accrue fines for a while. We pushed people's due dates during the pandemic out from being due in the regular time frame to like out 3 or 4 months, because we didn't want people to have to worry about overdues in the middle or in the beginning of a pandemic. So we want a little bit more data before we come to you with numbers about what we think it would really cost us in an ongoing way to go fine free. I'm going to go to the next slide with more specifics, because what board members ask is, well, how much of the revenue is the different pieces and parts? So you can see here, and this is included in the budget document as well, how much is fines, what percentage of the total amount is fines, and what is the other pieces like money coming in from copiers, or NRC is non-resident cards, which has certainly decreased from fiscal 13 till now, but the past few years it's been pretty stable, 17, 18, 16,000. And we're doing pretty well this year too, with $9,300 and 3 months to go. So some things are more stable and some things have really decreased. And if people don't have lost books, then they don't have to pay lost book fees. So again, if people use the library in certain ways, we would never get that fee. So, so any questions about this? I'd be happy to take them now or later. Okay, let's talk about expenses then. And of course, there'll always be time for question at the end. I want to show you across the different departments, and I'm gonna unblock it because right now I've got people's faces over my pie chart, so I can't see it all. So you can see the biggest percentage of spending per department is adult and youth services. They have a large staff covering the different reference desks and doing collection development, as well as the large materials budget. You look at the centralized cost, that's going to be things like insurance and items like supplies that are for the whole library across the board. Facilities is at 13%, and that's going to be running the library, the maintenance staff, buying all the supplies, paying for the custodial company, as well as some the projects that we talked about that need to happen to keep the library up to date and in good shape. And then if we go to the next slide here, just these are the numbers, and I'll email this to you. These 2 slides were not in your budget packet. I pulled these together today because I thought they might be helpful to see. So I'll make sure you have them so you can take a look at them as well, as far as the actual dollar amounts and the percentages across the board. A couple of other things that we talk about with the library standards. We have the standards for public library book, and that's showing up backwards. One thing that they talk about in the standards is how much of wages, what percentage of budget wages and benefits should be. And the total is 70%. And if you look at our numbers, it's exactly 70% of the operating budget. There's a little bit of gifts in that part as well, but there's no capital money in here. So we're right on target as far as what the state recommends in the standards. And then if you look here, what the materials budget is like, and we've talked about this a couple of years, and we've got good numbers to demonstrate the 2 different levels and how different they can be. Whether you look at strictly materials, which is going to be the bottom 2 lines, So you look at the total budget and then the percentage spent strictly on the actual items themselves. So we're matching last year at 10.9, almost 11%. The recommendation is 8 to 12%. So we're on that higher part of it. But if you look at the percentage of our budget spent on materials, including the extra costs, like what does it cost us to have Polaris? What does it cost us to have interlibrary loan? What does it cost for the staff to shelve the books? What does it cost for the staff to process, bring the books in, to order the books, all of those pieces? It's just under a quarter of the budget. So when you look at resources, we do spend a good chunk of the library's resources on the materials. And that is something to see, like, concretely, that we prioritize our strong collection and making things accessible. The last thing to talk about briefly, I talk about it a little bit more in the budget document, is this is the chiller going on the roof from a couple years ago. The Library Foundation purchased the chiller for us. We replaced it before it finally gave up the ghost and died on its own. We are looking to do the same with the air handler, and that we are looking to budget for the air handler, but replace it before it dies on its own. Our air handler on the east side of the building is from 1974. Generally, the useful lifespan is 25, 30 years. This is at 45 years. So we talk regularly with our HVAC colleagues, and they feel confident that it's reasonable to maybe think about a July 2022 replacement if we wanted to, like, put it into the next fiscal year and have time to save up. They don't think no one knows for sure, but it's realistic to think it could wait another year. But
I'm sorry. And then I would assume that even replacing it, that every time when time goes by, it would be more energy efficient. So, I mean, you're gonna have this big capital cost, but the actual running of it should actually be a lot more efficient over time. So eventually it costs less just to run the darn thing. But then you just have that big capital outlay. So I'm assuming that for large scale things, that holds just as it does for residential type of units.
And we are saving money on having the new boilers that were installed, as well as the new air handlers. So our utilities costs have gone down some, although prices go up. We're doing better than we were before. And yes, we'll take all the benefits we can get. So we know that we have a number of needs. We know that within a number of years, we'll need a new roof. The roof went on in 2005. It's already 2021. So you have a chart. It is not a beautiful chart. By next year, we'll have a better looking capital expenditure plan. There's been some circulated in the library world that we're going to look at, but this is the one we've got, and we've got data in there about. And I'd be, again, happy to talk to anyone about what we expect to see happen when we can afford the different pieces for those that can wait, as well as what seems to be more urgent, like this East air handler unit. So we want to prioritize and shift our budget a bit to be putting more money aside on a yearly basis towards facilities. The building is 2005, 1975, 1918, as well as putting more money in our fund balance so that we make sure that we've got at least a handful of months. If the taxes come late, we know that we can pay all our bills, because we need to have that. The taxes have come late more than once in the past couple of years. So we want to make sure that we're in a good financial position. So that is what I have to share as far as the presentation goes. Let me stop sharing.
Anyone have any
So-
questions? Go ahead.
I was just going to say, this is the draft budget. It's
Right.
strong. We expect a couple of changes, some small tweaks between this month and next month, like we talked about. We'll be moving the manager position from adult and youth services, the programming and outreach manager, to what is currently development and promotion, soon to be renamed community engagement. So we'll be, it'll be a net zero change, just moving some lines from one department to another. We've got a couple small changes like that, but it should look very much like the budget you see now.
And and I would assume, so are you projecting some revenue for the cafe for this next year? That's such a hard thing to call because of the pandemic. So
We are projecting revenue to match expenses. We will not open the cafe unless we are extremely confident it will make money. We are not going to open it at a loss. So we do not anticipate opening it till the earliest, let's say January. We just don't even expect that. And we will evaluate as we go through the year. We don't want people unmasked in the library, so selling them coffee so they can be unmasked is not prudent. It could be that the cafe doesn't open at all. That is actually a likely outcome. But we are budgeting as if, because if circumstances change enough and it looks like it will make a profit, then we would want to be able to do that. And the city knows this is the circumstance. This way, the FICA is in the budget. All of those HR kinds of pieces are covered this way whenever we choose to open it, if we choose to open it.
Okay. Thanks. Sharice?
Yeah, I was just wondering, I know it was good to probably get the refund of the microfilm money. So my next question, of course, is there a way that we can partner with or join with Parkland or U of I in one of their film departments or something like that and get interns to do that work for a stipend of half of what we get from, what we're giving ProQuest, maybe.
So
And
Sharice, that's a great question. And we are looking at different options because it's very specific work that needs to happen with specific equipment. And we
yeah,
used to work with the state library on some other projects. So we need to see, if not the state library, who might our other partners be? And also, is there any grant opportunities? Because literally, if no one is doing the microfilm at all, then like we're it. And so how are we going to be capturing this and keeping this safe for our community for the future? So
Yeah.
we're exploring different options.
because
It may not even happen this year. We just don't know.
Yeah, I mean, digitizing it would probably be also an option of sorts. But digital stuff also degrades. So that's why I was thinking, microfiche, I don't care how old it is, it'll still come through a lot of times. And you may have to like refix the negative or something like that. I don't know how that's done, but I know that digital stuff can also degrade, and it may be one of those things where you actually archive the archives on some kind of stuff so that you got it like that. But that was just an idea when you said that. The other thing, because are we for sure going to be doing like fine free?
No, no.
Okay. So the other thing that I was thinking is like people that accrue a lot of fines or something, that there be I don't know, I would not be opposed to like donating $5 or $10 every now and then to cover somebody's book fines. Is that allowed?
We don't do that right now. That is not a thing that we have done. We do occasionally waive some fines given people's circumstances. So we as a library do some of that as it goes along. So that might be a possibility. Right now, what we're recommending is automatic renewals, which means if there aren't any holds, it will renew for you. So there are certain circumstances where you might accrue fines, like someone else has the hold and you don't bring it back, but mostly people will not be accruing fines.
Okay. Now I was just trying to think of some other way, because you were talking about folks who tend to stay under that amount, a particular amount, so that, they can still check stuff out.
Right.
But, so that's why I was wondering if there's some kind of like fine scholarship thing, or if I were to come in and give Carly like $10 and say, put this towards somebody's book fines or movie fines or something. That's
So
why.
how did, sorry.
That's all. I didn't know if there was something like that, that if something like that could even happen.
You want to put some type of mechanism in place, because how do you determine whose fines it goes against? Like, that's the part where it can get tricky. So is it like against Betsy's fines or Bob's fines, or how do you do that? So
You know what? Pick somebody out of the bag that, just random. It's like somebody who may have $30 worth of fines, but and they just don't have the money to pay for it right now. And so, You just kind of take some of the balance off, and then you send them a email saying, guess what? Somebody covered $10 of your book fine for you, you know, or something. You know, an anonymous donor or whatever just donated some money to cover book fines and you were chosen or something, you know, let's make a deal, or the Price is Right kind of thinking, you know, confetti. Oh, your book fines have been paid, you know. I don't know. It's just an idea, because that way we don't lose revenue by covering somebody's books or somebody's fines. And so if there's a way that the haves can help the have-nots, even if I know at Culver City, they used to have a little clear box that said, feel free to donate anytime. And even if we just took that money, because every now and then I'd put a couple of dollars in there, you know, or I bought the canvas bag that had Culver City Library on it, you know, so I just always tried to give to the library when I didn't owe money too. So that's why I was just wondering if there is a way that, you know, you get somebody out of the red and you just send them an email and say, well, somebody was generous enough to donate $10 toward your fines. We just thought you'd like to know, you know, you were randomly chosen, you know, or something like that. I don't know. Just an idea.
Thank you. I feel like we just lost someone on the screen, but maybe it just shifted.
I think it just shifted. Yeah, because if there's just still 12, there's been 12. Yeah, here's just Teresa, it's like one of those random acts of kindness things that just really make someone's day or life or moment.
Yeah, I would think it's like a pay it forward kind of a thing.
So
Somebody
I
pays
did
for your Starbucks.
you know, exactly. There's people that pay $7 a cup every day for some, you know, burnt roasted coffee. And so, you know, they could take that $7 on one day a month and just say, you know, could you put this towards somebody's book fines or whatever? And it just be a random act of kindness. And, you know, whoever does the taking in and, you know, the payment of that, you guys, you know, we keep records on who owes what. And then you can just send them an email saying that somebody, you know, decided to do that. It's just out of, you know, you were chosen, you were random. And that way the library doesn't cover their fines, but you know, give somebody else in the community an opportunity. You see what I'm saying? I don't know. It's just a crazy idea popped in my head. So
it's nice thinking out of the box. I like that.
okay. All right, I'm done.
Anyone else have any comments, questions on the draft budget? Yeah, you know, I thought reviewed it all. I thought it was very reasonable for all the uncertainty for this year and trying to project, you know, budget's a projection and we still have a lot of unknowns, but I thought for draft it is reasonable.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay, well, with that, we'll move on to the next presentation and hearing about the update on the building program process. So you must have been getting an update from Fred.
Fred and I have been talking and where we are. So we thought just like we do with strategic planning, where Amanda would come to you every month and talk about where we were with the different steps, whether there was action or not. I thought we'd do the same with the building program process. And Fred and I are meeting on Thursday to go over the schedule. We've been going back and forth on what the schedule will look like for the process. So Thursday at 1 o'clock, we'll be talking. And he has the most current version of our edits to his questions, the 70 pages of questions that will facilitate the discussions with the different boards and staff. So it's continuing to move ahead. Something that's more exciting, I think, is that Donica Swan pulled together on our teams in Microsoft Teams a way for all staff to participate in either A, looking at other libraries in contributing. This is a great library tour. Here's a virtual tour of, for example, San Francisco Public Library, or, pick a library, as well as upload pictures that they themselves have taken or found with comments. So like, this is a really neat way you could do X behind the circulation desk, or here's a really great public art display area, so that we can inspire each other, since it's not as easy to go drive to places and visit. This is a way that library staff can contribute together, either from places they've been themselves or places that they found. So we've encouraged all staff to start both looking as well as contributing to the page. It's been up maybe a week or so. So we've already had some posts, and I expect to see more, but there's already feedback on it. So it's exciting to have that opportunity to have staff contribute and get excited.
Great.
So thank you, Donica.
Yeah, love the idea. And Teams, everyone getting used to Teams. It's got pluses and minuses, just like any collaboration tool. Great. Okay, then. Well, we are moving to 8.0, the action item consent agendas. Is there a request to remove anything? Okay, hearing that, then are there any corrections to the minutes of the board meeting minutes of March 9th, 2021? Okay, so then I am going to ask for a motion to approve the consent agenda of the payrolls for March 12th, March 26th, and April 9th of 2021. The bills for March 11th, March 17th, March 25th, April 2nd, April 2nd A, April 2nd B, and April 8th, 2021. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Move to approve the consent agenda.
Thanks, Jane. And a second?
Second.
I second.
Okay. Got that, Becky?
Was that Lupe or Sharice that seconded? Was that you,
Both of
Lupe?
us.
Okay.
Both of us.
Okay. Good. Well, I heard Lupe, but Sharice's box lit up, so I wasn't real sure who was who.
Give it to Lupe.
Okay, Lupe's got this one. You get the next one, Sharice.
Okay, thanks. So Becky, can you do a roll call?
Sure. Beth Scheid,
Yes.
Gloria Yen,
Yes.
Lupe Mejia,
Yes.
Michael Weissman,
Yes.
Sharice Hersey,
Yes.
Jane Williams.
Yes.
Great, thanks. Okay, moving to 9.0, we've got individual action items. The first one, 9.1, is request to extend the COVID leave. And I don't know, Celeste, if you want to say anything about that at all?
Yeah, we would really appreciate it if the board would match what the city is doing, which is extend the COVID leave option of up to 8 weeks for staff to be used for those particular COVID related purposes until further notice, because we are not sure when the pandemic will end. We have been really pleased with how staff have used it very responsibly, using it for, if they couldn't get a vaccination slot during off work hours, to do it during work hours, or if they were vaccinated and had some ill effects. Thankfully, no one on staff has reported actually having COVID. So the use of the leave has been very minimal, and we think it's responsible to continue to offer it to people.
That's
We
great.
appreciate your consideration.
So with that, do I hear a motion to approve?
So
I
move.
move.
Okay.
I second.
Okay. Great. Okay, Becky, roll call?
Let me get the first and second. Okay. Jane Williams,
Yes.
Sharice Hersey,
Yes.
Michael Weissman,
Yes.
Lupe Mejia,
Yes.
Gloria Yen,
Yes.
Beth Scheid.
Yes. Okay. Action item 9.2 is the FY21 budget amendments. And Celeste, if you want to say something about those?
Sure, we had some internal transfers that we had listed in the director's report, and then we had one more crop up today with workers' comp insurance, the last payment of the year being about $550 over what was left in the budget line. So Becky sent an amended one, including that little extra bit at the bottom. Again, moving within centralized costs from one centralized cost line to the other. So just standard departmental transfers.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve?
Approve the budget amendment.
Okay, and a second.
I second.
Okay. I'll let Becky get these, and Becky, when you got those, you can do the roll call.
Got it. Beth Scheid,
Yes, here.
Gloria
I'm
Yen,
still here.
Yes.
Lupe Mejia,
Yes.
Michael Weissman,
Yes.
Sharice Hersey,
Yes.
Jane Williams.
Yes,
Thanks, Becky. And I don't think we have any discussion items, so we can move to the reports. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Well, I don't have any, I don't think it's a discussion item. I just wanted to say, I did the Habitat for Humanity, on Saturday. I did the afternoon shift and, I really was happy to see, some library staff there. And I think there were some people in the morning, but I couldn't make it in the morning, but I did make it in the afternoon. And, yeah, good show. So just wanted to say that.
Okay, thanks for that feedback and thanks for the commentary, Sharice. That's great. Okay, now we'll move on to the reports of the liaison officers. Anything with the Friends?
Barbara couldn't be here today, but I can report for her. The Friends are crossing their fingers that they can have a November book sale.
Ooh, that would be good.
Oh.
And so are people dropping books? So I know they were before all during, and I know we weren't advertising, but people are dropping things with all that house cleaning that people were doing during lockdown. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And I'm imagining we're still not soliciting books, but they're just coming regularly.
We are allowing donations, and it helps us with our Amazon and Etsy stores.
Oh, that's right. Sure. Okay, great. Thanks.
Good.
Okay, anything from the foundation?
I will report for John. Thanks to Amanda, development and promotion in the Library Giving Day, which is part of National Library Week. The foundation raised $565 in one day, and $365 was designated for the Wi-Fi hotspot program that they support every year. So congratulations, Amanda and the foundation.
That's great.
And actually, we got a mail-in check, so it's $100 more than what Celeste just said. So
Ooh.
maybe we'll still get a few more, but it doesn't completely cover the Wi-Fi hotspots, but it is a good chunk.
Oh, that's great. Thank you. And Lupe, anything from the Heartland?
Yes, I just have a couple of things. Let me find my notes again here. Oh, maybe I lost them. Sorry, give me just one second. So as of today, IHLS has ended all the in-hub quarantine of physical materials and tubs. So this is based on new CDC guidance and some pretty careful deliberation and teamwork by the IHLS delivery work group. So that's a new development. The voting period for the board of directors elections ends on Thursday of this week. So there are currently 5 seats that are looking to be filled, all for 3-year terms. And then finally, the news that we received at our meeting at the end of last month is just from the Illinois State Library. They're expecting to receive $4.7 million through the American Rescue Plan Act. So ISL is developing plans to allocate these funds to Illinois libraries and library systems for fiscal year 22.
That's nice news. Everyone's just kind of was really waiting to hear some of that good news in all sorts of different ways. So that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Because as we know, libraries could use it after this last year. So that's great. Thank you. Okay, 12, the administrative report. Celeste, what would you like to highlight? It was a great report, as always.
Oh, every month. It's really, I work here and I'm impressed every month at all the things that are
Me
happening.
too. I get exhausted reading it. Truly, it's like, wow, everyone's doing so much.
I will highlight and echo what Lupe was saying. We have also made the decision locally to stop quarantining based on the CDC data, which is exciting because it means we can check books in the same day as received and continue, hand washing and sanitizing of people's persons. But we can move materials along more quickly, which will make our patrons feel better because even though we say on our receipts and such, it's going to take a couple of days to check them in, it's all fine. It still makes some people nervous and they literally call us every time wanting to know when their items will be checked in. So there's a nice relief with that. We're also going to be cutting down the number of times we wipe down all the surfaces. we're doing that every 2 hours. And now that that is shown to be not necessary, we're shooting for a midday wipe down. So cleaning staff will come in at night, wipe it all off. It'll be clean in the morning, do it midday. And then currently we're closing at 7. So that seems responsible. And we've talked to a scientist that's been helping us throughout this. And again, that seems to be a responsible choice. So staff are happy to have other ways to spend their time to serve our public.
That's great. Thank you. Let's see, we have no board and committee reports. I have no report from John, so we have no board present report. Do we have any unfinished business?
I was wondering about the accepting the gift thing that's in the packet.
Which gift one, Jane?
There were 2 things to accept.
Okay, the checks and let's see.
The resolution to accept the Urbana Arts Grant and the one to accept gifts.
Well, I think, Jane, you got a couple of packets at once, and that was last month.
Yeah, that was not, I didn't see that in this month, but I do, certainly we did do that last month.
I'm sorry, I
Okay, no problem.
misremembered it.
Okay. Is there any new business? Well, with that, I bid you all a wonderful evening, a little cooler than we've had it, and enjoy the spring blooms. They should last a little longer because we don't have 80s popping everything as quickly as can be. So I'll take a slow down so we can enjoy it longer. But thank you, everyone. See you next month.